What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. I'm very excited for tomorrow's fights, triple header. This is again what I've talked about so many times on my channel, where Golden Boy is just shitting all the way on Top Rank, and that's with these cards. They're putting together these stacked ass cards where you're guaranteed to get at least one good fight, at least one good fight. You look at John Molina, Lucas Matisse, potential fight of the year, and I knew that going in that was going to be a war. And then you had Keith Thurman, Julio Diaz. Even though that fight it didn't end how I wanted it to end, you still had Matisse Molina, which is, again, the fight to beat, in my opinion, one of the fight of the year candidates. So props to Golden Boy for putting together this. Props to Showtime for putting together these cards. Like I said, you're guaranteed to see probably someone get knocked out, knocked down, or just an overall good fight or war. Top Rank, you move over to their side, and you can't really say there's like, name the last Top Rank card where you were anticipating the undercard more than the main event. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't really happen. Usually they put all their stake in the main event. Versus Golden Boy, they're giving you a lot more good fights to choose from. Like, I know people that want to see the Floyd Mayweather Canelo fight, but they also want to see Lucas Matisse, Danny Garcia even more. So in some people's mind, they want to see the undercard more than the actual fight. Same thing with Luis Collazo and Amir Khan. Some people want to see that over Mayweather and Maidana. Or you look at John Molina and Lucas Matisse, like I mentioned earlier. Some people want to see that more than Keith Thurman, Julio Diaz. So Golden Boy is giving you that. They're giving you cards that have the ability to perhaps trump the main event. Top Rank doesn't really give you that. So in my opinion, the undercard of this particular fight is actually better than Robert Guerrero. But I like the Guerrero-Kamegai fight as well. It's just I'm really looking forward to the undercards. I want to see them all, but I want to see the undercards more. So I'm going to try to kill three birds with one stone, give my prediction, let you know what I feel about each fight. Gary Russell Jr. and Russell-Lomachenko. I'm really looking forward to this fight. This is a kind of a make or break fight. We're going to really see where both guys are at. Gary Russell Jr., a guy with all the potential talent in the world, but he was fighting tomato cans, and that was the biggest complaint from me and a lot of other people. They're moving him at a snail's pace, and it's hard to get a real read on somebody, a real gauge on where they're at when you have a barometer of a guy fighting cab drivers. Nobody wants to see that. After so long, it's cool to build up your confidence, but then when you're clearly beating those guys, what do you do? How are you going to look? How's your chin? How do you deal with adversity, cuts, different things like that? People want to see that about Gary Russell Jr. This is the fight that will answer those questions for both fighters. We're going to see how good Lomachenko really is, and we're going to see what Gary Russell Jr. is. And it's a great fight. Like I said, I'm looking forward to this more than the actual main event because it's a 50-50 fight. On one hand, you could say Gary Russell Jr., he has more pro-level experience. He has, in my opinion, probably the fastest hands in boxing, him or Amir Khan. I'm talking about pure hand speed, getting from point A to B. I mean, he's up there. He's definitely top 5 of the big-name fighters. So, fast hands. Then you got look at Lomachenko. He had an impressive almost 400 fights, like 396 fights. Only one loss that he avenged twice. The guy has a decorated amateur experience. So, this is going to be a good fight, and it's going to be a telling fight. I'm going to pick Gary Russell Jr. just because he has more pro-level experience. I'm going to say via decision, via 12-round decision or 10-round or whatever this is scheduled for. I'm going to pick Gary Russell Jr. to win via decision. Maybe even a split decision. I think it's going to be a good fight. It's competitive. Lomachenko looks a lot bigger than Gary Russell Jr. in pictures, which could pose some problems. He has a lot of amateur experience. As I said, this is really a 50-50 fight, but I'm giving a slight, very slight, ever so slight edge to Gary Russell Jr. because he has fast hands. He looks like he's a good boxer from what I've seen, and I like the way he puts together punches, and he's going to do stuff. I mean, that's easy to win the rounds when you have these flashy. He has flashy type of combinations that really grab your attention. So I think that's going to influence the judges. And again, he has more pro-level experience. But Lomachenko is definitely a live dog in this fight. I think he struggled a little bit dealing with the dirty style tactics of Orlando Salido. I don't really consider Gary Russell Jr. a dirty fighter, so this could look like a completely different fight than that, because Salido was kind of doing some like dirty veteran tricks and that kind of stuff, and he was getting away with a lot. He did have Salido hurt in the late round, I think the very last round. So I'm looking forward to this, man. This is a real telling fight. The winner can go on to fight a ton of names, possibly Gamboa, possibly Nonito Donaire. I mean, it's endless possibilities, so I'm looking forward to this. Next, we have Devin Alexander, Jesus Soto Karass. This is a must-win for either fighter. Devin Alexander got embarrassed by Sean Porter, a guy who he was defending his belt to. Sean Porter hurt him in that fight, and it looked like he took him lightly, so he needs to get back on track. He was at one point being talked into a Mayweather fight. People were saying, "Oh, he was a champion. Anytime you're a champion in the same division as Mayweather, then your name is going to be in the talks." So he's looking to get back to that level, possibly have a rematch with Sean Porter, or even fight Kell Brook, who he was scheduled to fight way back when, and there was a series of injuries, so that fight never materialized. And same thing with Jesus Soto Karass. He lost to Maidana. He lost to Keith Thurman. He beat Berto. He needs to get back on track. Not too long ago, he was, I think, like three losses in 5 fights. So he's borderline gatekeeper, and it's going to be an interesting fight. It's an interesting clash of styles. You have Devin Alexander, who's more on the slick side, southpaw. He's not the most powerful guy. Then you got Jesus Soto Karass, who has an iron chin, and he's relentless. Like, he has a relentless kind of style, kind of like a Margarito. He's very rangy, and he's dangerous because he's kind of on that cusp of being forgotten in the sport of boxing, being a gatekeeper. So he wants to get a signature win, kind of like he did with Andre Berto. So that's going to make him dangerous, especially if he comes in focused. And he's kind of a volume guy where he throws a lot of punches. He's kind of fearless in that regard, just true Mexican warrior type, where he's going to come to fight, and he has a chin. So it's going to be interesting to see how Devin Alexander deals with it. We've seen Devin Alexander fight Lucas Matisse. I thought he should have lost that fight, even though he won. He also fought Maidana, so he has some experience with power. I think Devin Alexander is going to win the fight via decision. Thinks he's going to basically just out-slick Jesus Soto Karass. But again, another live dog, Jesus Soto Karass. The people he got beat by most recently are vicious punchers, Maidana as well as Keith Thurman. They're perhaps top-tier punchers in the division. So that's a different style. Devin Alexander doesn't really bring that type of power, but I think he'll be able to do enough to convincingly win a decision and just out-slick, out-box, frustrate Jesus Soto Karass. And in the main event, you have Robert Guerrero making his return against Kamegai. And I don't know as much about Kamegai. I've seen some stuff. I've done my research. But I'm looking forward to this fight just because I want to see Robert Guerrero back in the ring. And if he is able to win, this brings more excitement to the welterweight division, which is already stacked. You got Kell Brook, Sean Porter coming up. They're fighting. That's a good fight, so you can potentially match with the winner of that. Mayweather already beat him. I'm not really interested in a Guerrero rematch. He didn't do enough, in my opinion, to warrant a rematch. He's going to have to work back to that. They were talking about making a Pacquiao-Guerrero. Pacquiao's running out of opponents. That's an interesting fight. Danny Garcia is thinking about moving up to welterweight. That's a good fight. Amir Khan looked good against Luis Collazo. That's a good fight. There's a lot of guys you can mix and match. He didn't really want the Keith Thurman fight, but maybe this will get his confidence up, depending how he looks. Maybe they'll make a Keith Thurman fight finally, or even a Marcos Maidana and Robert Guerrero. These are all good fights to me, so I'm anxious to see how he looks. As far as Kamegai, he's a live dog because his opponent is a guy who is coming off a loss to Mayweather, as well as a long layoff. He took that Mayweather money and he was kind of lamping and chilling on that, whatever, a couple million. I think he got like $3 million or something to fight Mayweather. So he was just kind of spending time with his family, and that's dangerous because there's only a couple guys that I've seen that have been able to take long layoffs and come back like nothing fucking happened. Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao. And we know that both of those guys are phenomenal athletes, and they're almost anomalies. They can defy the odds. Mayweather did it against Marquez, took almost 2 years off, came back with a dominant performance. Some of you guys bring up the weight issue. Fuck that. Marquez lost every single round. Marquez is a game competitor, no matter any way you slice it. He's a living legend, and he lost every round. So I don't think the weight was the only reason that Marquez lost. That's why he never really pushed for a rematch with Mayweather. Pacquiao, I seen it after his knockout loss to Marquez. Pacquiao took a long layoff, probably the longest in his career in quite some time. Came back, fought Brandon Rios, who was coming up in weight, but he still dominated. He won every single round against a relentless, powerful guy like Brandon Rios, who outweighed him on fight night and that kind of stuff. So that's hard to do. Not everyone can do that. So I'm anxious to see if Robert Guerrero looks like he has any ring rust. He's done this before, but the older you get, the more your body starts to receive things differently and sometimes break down. After his wife was dealing with her cancer and battling and overcoming cancer, he had a long layoff during that whole stretch, came back and fought Selçuk Aydin. Different type of fight. And again, sometimes people can't just keep fluctuating and taking long breaks. That's why it's good for guys like Andre Ward and Durrells and Gamboa to fight more frequently, especially if you have an athletic style, because you want to stay fresh, you want to be crisp. So I'm anxious to see if Kamegai can make this interesting. He has like an 80% KO ratio. Doesn't really mean that much based on his level of competition. He ain't really fought nobody. Definitely not any top American fighters, top Mexican fighters, or top fighters around the world, in my opinion. So I'm anxious to see if he can make it interesting. One thing I do know, he is Japanese, and a lot of the Japanese, their whole mentality is just overall tough. You look at the fight with Omar Figueroa versus Arakawa, another Japanese guy. They were scrapping. He didn't have the power to hurt Figueroa, but he stayed in the pocket. He was taking substantial, like, disgusting shots, and his face was swelling, and he stayed in there like a true warrior. So these Japanese fighters a lot of times are very, very tough, and from a young age, they're kind of programmed and trained and cultivated to deal with punishment and to be strong-willed. So I'm anxious to see it. And again, he has a high KO percentage, so maybe that'll come up to play. Maybe he can hurt Robert Guerrero, who has been rusty, or maybe he is rusty. I don't know. We'll see. He's doing a lot of core exercises, trying to get back into it, but we'll see how he looks. If he does win, it definitely shapes up the welterweight division, adds another player to it, and he needs to get back on the winning side. He just lost to Mayweather, so I'm really looking forward to it. Again, Kamegai, he might have that Japanese samurai type mentality, like, I have nothing to lose. So guys like that are always dangerous. I'm going to pick Robert Guerrero to win this fight, probably via late stoppage. I just think overall, Guerrero has more world-class experience with world-class opponents, and he's trying to get back on track. Plus, it looks like his conditioning has been pretty good from doing this CrossFit, and he looks like he's in good shape, and he has a chin as well. So I'm going to pick Robert Guerrero late stoppage, probably round 9, 10, or 11. These Japanese guys a lot of times are very tough, so I don't think he'll break down mentally, and I wouldn't even be surprised if Guerrero had to win a decision, because again, some of these Japanese dudes are just extremely tough. They can take punishment, they can take a shot, and keep on trucking. So those are my predictions for the 3 fights. Really looking forward to it. I'm going to drink, and I'm going to check in with you guys after the fight. Make sure you like the video. As always, hate, comment, or subscribe. Till next video, it's Ego, signing off.